if you're going through something in life, it could be anything. It could be your parents not getting to understand you, you not proceeding with your career the way you had always desired it to be, you not getting with the guy or the girl that you truly love, you want to be with, or your overall well being, your health, something or the other that is truly disturbing you. This video is about that, and I'm gonna try my best to help you with whatever you're going through, because I believe all of us have something that we can share with others that can help others figure out what's going on in their lives. Like a lot of things, when they happen to me, I mean, most of the times I'm suffering in my head. I'm gonna get to that. It's because of overthinking that I suffer the most. I am an overthinker. I have been rigorously trying to get that out of my system, but somehow it's taking longer than usual. And it's been years I've been trying to monitor that aspect of my life, but I'm still not completely in control. But it's okay. I'm in a work in progress and it's gonna get okay. So, I think it's best that you talk with somebody, and before you do that, how about we talk to each other? So, I figured out that I actually sat with myself and I tried to work my thoughts around the idea of suffering. I thought that let's find out why, despite having good food in our day, despite getting proper sleep or wearing proper clothes, and most of the basic needs are met, still why most of the people are either complaining about this or that in their lives or are suffering in some way. I thought let's try and figure that out, and I actually could come up with a great idea I wanted to share through this video with you. I think it is going to make sense to you, and it's pretty brilliant. It's going to help you understand what kind of suffering you're going through, okay, and how to deal with it, to come out of it. It will not happen instantly. Obviously it's going to take effort, obviously it is going to take time, but you'll be able to come out of it. Just hear me out, give me 5 minutes, and I'm sure this video will help you, because the idea is new. I'm very sure that you've never heard of this idea, because this is absolutely my own, and I've not taken it. It's not an inspiration from anywhere. It's my own idea. I generally don't make such videos, but I am very excited to share this video with you, because it's going to change your world. It's going to help you understand what is happening with you. All right, so my idea is that there are two types of suffering in this world. Okay, let's understand which category we fall into. I'll tell you which category I fall into. Okay, so one is your visible kind, which is the grief part, where people are grieving over some loss. You loved somebody, you've lost them. There is a family member that has passed away. You are facing some terrible health issues. This is a tangible suffering. Like, by tangible I mean, tangible means something that you can touch, something that is very physical in nature, something that has a form which people can see. That is tangible. So I'm calling it the tangible suffering, or just simply say visible suffering. If somebody has lost their loved one, they are going to be grieving. Okay, and it is going to take them time. They just can't talk to themselves and be out of it in 2 days. It's impossible, right? So that is tangible suffering, that is visible suffering. There is another kind of suffering, the suffering that you go through in your head, where everything from outside seems okay, everything seems normal, but on the inside you know that you're suffering. Something is not right about you. Something in your mind is not letting you be peaceful. We are going to talk about this kind of suffering. Just the other day, I follow Twinkle Khanna on Instagram, and because she has some really good thoughts, so I sometimes listen to what she has to say on her reels. So she was talking about this book, Bhagavad Gita, and she mentioned a very nice concept that I really liked. And I had heard it for the first time, and it kind of stuck with me. It said that we human beings are different from other types of animals in a way that we can live in our imagined reality. So whatever is happening around them is their reality. They don't imagine reality. But human beings, on the other hand, they can imagine reality. Like, I could be in a party and still be sad because I am imagining some sad situation. Everything around me physically is absolutely all right. People are laughing, enjoying, having fun, having the time of their lives. But on the other hand, I am sad. So this is my imagined reality. And since I am sad, that is my reality. It has nothing to do with the people who are around me. They may see me as somebody who's having good time, who seems to be happy, but inside I know that I'm not happy, I'm sad. So despite given your environment, you could still be sad. For the visible kind of suffering, I just have one thing to say, that it is a phase of your life, and something like that happening to you right now is gonna go away, but it is going to take time. There are several stages of grief. I urge you to read about it if something like that is happening with you. There are some 5 stages of grief. Go and read about it, and I'm sure it will help you sort your things out. Okay. Apart from that, I want to say that stoicism is something that you should definitely keep yourself aware of. If you're not aware of stoicism, go and read about it. It is going to help you process your grief. Okay. But with all due respect, this video is not about the visible kind of suffering. This video is about the invisible kind of suffering, where you're suffering in your head. Everything seems all right, but you know that everything is not okay. Something is terribly wrong with you. That is what we're going to talk about. So whatever I'm going to talk about today is especially relevant for youngsters, very young people, teenagers or early 20s. And apart from that, this is going to be extremely relevant for people in their first 15 years of their career. So if you are somebody who is still in the first 15 years of starting your job or your business, whatever you're doing, then this video can really help you. Let's start by talking about the invisible suffering. Now, invisible suffering is yet again 2 types. Hear me out. This is going to make sense, okay? And try and understand which category you fall under. The first kind is where you're headed in the direction of hope, where you see hope. You know that everything that is happening right now is gonna get sorted. Everything is going to fall in place and you'll be fine. And whatever you're aspiring for, you will get it. That is the hopeful direction, okay? So that is one type, where people who are suffering right now see hope. There is another kind in the same category of invisible suffering, which is, I am suffering right now, but I see no hope. I feel that none of this is going to change, or it is only going to change for the worse. And there is no hope, only despair. And don't assume I'm talking about depression. I'm not going to talk about depression and stuff. I am only going to talk about processing of these feelings, okay? In a very simple way. I am obviously no medical practitioner. I'm just going to explain you from my experience in life. So, the one where you see hope, where you're suffering, but you're hopeful that everything is going to be sorted, everything is going to be fine. Let's just call it the good suffering. Okay, and the other one where you see that nothing is going to work out, or it's just miserable, it will always remain miserable, and everything that you feel right now is like an eternal reality. None of it is going away. Let's just call it the bad suffering. Okay, the good suffering and the bad suffering under the same category of invisible suffering, where you haven't suffered a real loss. There is no grief. You've not lost a loved one. Your health is all right, but you're still suffering. So these two pertain to that same category, the invisible suffering. The first kind, the good suffering kind, can actually bring you some long surviving happiness. Why? Because there is a purpose that you're after. Good suffering comes out of a purpose. So let me give you my own example of good suffering. I suffered a lot where my career, my dreams, my aspirations were concerned. And this happened roughly 4 or 5 years ago. And that phase lasted for about 5 or 7 years. It started around the time when I was already 2 years into my job and I started to realize that my job sucks. I'm very, very bad at it. I can never really make my life the way I had always perceived it to be or wanted it to be. I will not be able to achieve my dreams. I will not be able to do anything for my parents. My parents are like I am just mad about them. So I will not be able to do anything for them, and I will always be a loser if I stay here. And sadly, unfortunately, or fortunately, the job that I was into was actually a good one. Now, it was paying me well. So when you're already in a good job which is paying you well, it's so difficult to quit that job, because what do you do then? Like, if you leave this and the next thing doesn't work out for you, how are you going to deal with it? What if you leave this and you don't get this and then you're nowhere? That was a question in my head. And I was suffering every day of that job. So finally, what happened was that things happened, a lot of stuff happened because I just decided that this is not for me, and my actions started to spell that. My actions were actually aligned with my thoughts, and I was getting worse in my job every day. Somehow I had to quit, or just rather say I was fired. And I just decided that this is your opportunity. If you go back to another job right now, you will never be able to come out of it. And I don't have anything against jobs. Jobs are fine. My sisters are doing very well in it. So I have nothing against job. It's just that I was not happy in what I was doing, and I had to do something about it because I'm a career person. I'm very ambitious. And if you're ambitious, your job, your work matters to you. You want to do something that brings a change in your life. In it, you feel you're adding value in some way. And I did not think that I was adding any value by preparing those bullshit reports that I was making every day. And I was like, no, this is not what I was supposed to be. I'm stuck. Kuch galat ho gaya yahan pe. So what happened was, I quit my job, and for 4 years or so, I was home and just working on my ideas. And somehow things started to work for me, and I'm not gonna get into detail of that. I just want to tell you that I started my YouTube channel and it blew up, and I started to make money out of it, and then I never stopped. But that's another story. There's a whole different video on that. You can go and check it out. But for now, just understand that that was good suffering. Why? Because for 5 years I knew I was suffering. I knew that it was hard. I had no money. My dreams were like so big that they would not fit in my eyes. Huge dreams, huge aspirations, not just for myself, for my parents, for my family. I really wanted to do something for them because I had seen them suffering all their lives for money. I wanted to do something. I wanted to bring a change. So all that was happening, and I was happy and I was sad at the same time. Somehow, all I can say is that I had a purpose. So everything got figured out. Best part was that my actions were aligned with what my thoughts were. Since I wanted to do a business and I wanted to do a creative kind of business, I was constantly putting efforts in that direction. I was trying to do something that would make that dream come true. And I cannot tell you how many businesses I tried around then. There were some 5-7 types of businesses I tried and nothing worked out. Somehow YouTube worked out because something had to, right? I was trying so hard. So no, people may just call me lucky, but I know I was not lucky. I pursued it like mad. I was like Dar Ka Shah Rukh Khan. I was that person. So yes, it worked out, and that was good suffering. So understand what good suffering is. The biggest characteristic of a good suffering is that you know you have a dream, you're working towards it, you have a purpose, And that purpose is bringing you suffering. That purpose is bringing you grief. It's bringing all those troubles of a beginner. When you start something and you're so directionless, you're so clueless, you do not know what next mistake you're gonna make and if you'll be able to come out of it. Everything is so confusing and you are like in a big mess. You're fucked. It's like that. So yes, that is good suffering. Good suffering can bring so much happiness. It can bring so much luck. It can bring so much prosperity. Now talking about the other kind, which is the bad suffering. Bad suffering is when you do not have any hope and you know that this is never going to end. You have dreams. You definitely have dreams. But the problem is that you're not working towards them. Your actions, in short, if I have to summarize it for you, your actions are not in alignment with your goals. So you have to go to Gurgaon from Delhi and there is this highway that takes you there. And you have to go from Delhi to Faridabad, then this is the highway that you take. Now you want to go to Gurgaon, but you're on this highway. How will you ever reach Gurgaon? You can't. It's as simple as that. Your actions should be aligned with your purpose. What I see wrong in most people these days is, see, most people are suffering, okay? Because it's social media everywhere. So much is happening in so many people's lives and you're observing all that. Your cousins are doing so well. Your family members are doing so well and they keep pushing their aspirations on you and asking you questions. शादी कब करेगी, ये कब करेगी, वो कब करेगी, ये कैसे होगा, वो कैसे होगा, अच्छा जॉब छोड़ दी, अच्छा ये ऐसे. But this is what is happening in most people's lives. They're answerable to so many XYZ relatives and so many people keep bothering you. And if those people were not enough, you're bothering yourself by looking at other people's lives, success stories, right? And either you can get inspired from those stories or you can just be jealous of those people. You have to make a choice. And most cases, people are just jealous. They're not getting inspired, but only jealous out of what others are doing and what others are accomplishing. And what I see common in most of these people is that they have dreams, no doubt, but their actions are very weak. Very, very weak. This is bad suffering. You want health, but you're smoking. You want money, but you're lazy. You want to be the CEO of your organization, but you don't want to go to your office. You don't want to participate in the activities. So somehow you're falling short of where your actions should be. Your dreams are fine. There is never anything wrong with dreams. There is never anything wrong with dreaming. What is wrong is to have those dreams and never fuel them. Gaadi nahi chalegi without fuel. Now the first category, the good suffering part, can be very dangerous too. Okay, it's not that the good suffering is only good. Good suffering can be very dangerous when you have purpose, when you have hope in your heart, but you're lagging in your action. So that is good suffering being dangerous for you. What is good suffering? Good suffering is where you're suffering, but you have hope. But if you're not putting in action, then first can also be very dangerous for you. And talking about the second category, where you have dreams but no hope, that is the worst kind. And that is what my prime reason of this video is, why I'm making this video. Nevertheless, second is more dangerous, where you're suffering but you have no hope. Because as they say, hope is a big thing and you don't have hope. That means you're always living in survival mode. You're barely surviving every moment, which can be very cumbersome. It can be very frustrating. Hope can make misery easy, but in your case, you have no hope. So your misery you feel is never gonna get okay. When you've got hope, even the difficult things seem easy because you know that this is gonna get over. घर में लाइट चली जाती है तो हमको उतना बुरा नहीं लगता, क्योंकि हमें पता है कि थोड़ी देर में आ जाएगी. नाउ इमेजिन मूविंग टू अ पार्ट ऑफ द कंट्री वेयर there is no electricity supply. Imagine your misery then. Now that we've understood the difference between the first kind of suffering and the second kind of suffering, how do we understand, in case we are confused, how do we understand if we are headed in the direction of hope or not? Just in case you're confused that if you have hope or not, because sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. How do you make up your mind if you're hopeful or not? Or if you see a positive coming out of all this negative. So I have a rule of thumb for that. That is something that I always ask myself whenever I'm in any problem. And that is that if I am, this is very simple, if I am angry with God, okay, I am in a problem and about that problem I'm angry with God, that is when I'm sure headed in the wrong direction. I am not headed in the direction of hope. But if I am not angry with God and I'm actually looking up to God and asking for answers and asking for help, that is when I am sure that I'm headed in the right direction and everything will be sorted. So a human being can shuffle between these two, okay? You can be sometimes here and sometimes be there, when you have hope in some scenario and you don't have hope in some other scenario. The moment I realized that I am angry with God over some aspect of my life, I quickly correct it, because I believe in God and I am a believer and I get very angry. So whenever I turn my face away from Him, that is a red signal for me, a red flag that something is not right. Your attitude needs to be corrected. Because I feel when I'm hopeful and I'm hoping answers from God, I feel more strengthened. I feel sure. I feel certain that things are going to work out. And it just gives me the peace and calm that you need to solve a problem. Sometimes all you need is a peaceful mind to come out of a misery, to come out of a problem. एंड वेन यू आर एंग्री विद गॉड, अरे सारा मेरे साथ ही होता है, सब कुछ मेरे साथ ही बुरा होता है, मैं ही मेरे साथ ही, मेरे पीछे ही सब पड़ गए, देन योर माइंड इज नॉट इन रियली सपोर्ट ऑफ यू, इट्स वर्किंग अगेंस्ट यू. It gets even more difficult to come out of a situation. This is what I have to suggest to you. If you are feeling bad suffering, the only reason why you're facing this is that your actions are not aligned with your purpose. Okay? You are not really working hard the way you should be if you've got dreams. You're not taking the correct risk in life. You're not being friends with the right kind of people. You're not surrounding yourself in the right company. You're not eating good food. You're not taking proper sleep. You're having too much alcohol. You're partying too much. You're spending too much time on your junk on your phone, scrolling social media, watching worthless shit. So these are the things that you need to work on. Either don't claim that you have dreams, and if you do claim that you have dream, at least to yourself, if you're claiming that, then work in the right way. Move in the right direction. Put in the appropriate actions that are needed to accomplish your dreams. So what I would suggest is that right now, if your activity level is too less and your dreams are too high, let's just make some adjustment. Bring up your activity and lower down your aspirations for now, temporarily. Okay? Because then your goals will feel achievable. If your goals are too high, they may not feel very achievable, and that is probably the reason you're not working towards them. Set smaller goals in the beginning. Once you accomplish the smaller ones, revisit the idea. In 6 months, a year, when you've already accomplished the smaller ones, then you set a higher goal. So right now, if you're using public transport, you are setting a goal to buy yourself a BMW in next 1 year, it's probably too high a goal. I'm not going to insult your dream, but it seems a little unachievable. Just bring down your goal. How about you set your goal to some other car, maybe a Kia or a Creta, okay? And once you've reached there, in a year or 2 years. That's when you bring up your hopes and you say, okay, my next car is going to be Mercedes or a BMW or a Jaguar. Your wish, like it's your dream. You put a number to it. Just make it more realistic. That's what I'm saying. For now, since you've not been putting the right actions into place. See, one day at a time makes up for an entire month, and 1 month at a time makes up for an entire year. All these little efforts account to a huge reward in the future. And I heard this very nice quote I'm gonna share with you. Our willpower is only as much as we accept we have. So if your willpower is that, okay, I can do only this much, then this is exactly how your willpower is. You will not be able to do more than that. Okay? Because you're the one defining it. So define it bigger. Courage is in knowing what not to fear. Plato. I'll end the video on this note. I hope this video helps you out. A very emotional one for me, but I'm sure it's going to bring a difference to your life or to somebody whom you care for. Share it with somebody who needs it right now. I'll see you in the next video. Figure out your answers, because there are answers available. You just have to put in some work towards them. Okay? I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.